Life is.
The time is now 7 a.m. on the family station Love 101 FM.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM, the number one gospel station in Jamaica. I am your host, Stokeley Marshall. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you are overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you are in the UK, 0330-332-6541, or just join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also check us out on Love 101 FM Facebook Live and YouTube Live in the main watch today. High-tech rubbers for all seasons. In the second watch, what's color got to do with it? What's color got to do with it? In our social media question, we ask, what are your thoughts on the subject of racism in Jamaica? Share your responses in our Facebook or YouTube Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes to 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your comments later on in the program, but first, here's I quote.
Either you run the day or the day runs you. This is a quote by Jim Rohn.
What does it mean, sir? Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning, Stokeley. How are you?
Either you run the day or the day runs you. Well, all right. I take it literally at its word. Either the day runs us or we run the day. The main watch. We'll be back after this break.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the main watch, and it has been happening for decades, but with every means implemented to protect our valuables and belongings, even virtually. And when I say virtually, I mean in terms of how we use the term virtually in this increasingly digital age. Thieves have been, well, appear to be better at keeping a step ahead of most of us. With the what some call the festive season coming around the corner, depending on whether or not you celebrate the Christmas season, and even beyond the season, what are the things being used that can safeguard or can be used to safeguard ourselves and our property? It's like we have to be constantly relearning and getting new lessons learned in terms of how to keep things like money and possessions safe. We have as our guests today to look at ways we can ensure that we keep our valuables safe, Dr. Jason Mackay, criminologist and the Chief Executive Officer of Mackay Security, and
Hi, how's up?
Mr. Gordon Ellison, Director of Security and Transport, Ministry of Health and Wellness, and international security consultant and leadership coach, and the director of TGE Consulting Limited. Dr. Mackay and Mr. Ellison, good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Thank you for having us. Good morning, Dr. Mackay. Good to see you again.
Good morning. How you doing?
Now, gentlemen, what are the tried and true security measures we need to know and need to know right now? Not tomorrow, not next week, not in December or beyond, but now. Dr. Mackay, would you like to start?
All right, well, it's all about, as it always has been, positioning where you place yourself, That is really where you come to harm more, depending on where you are. There are places that you need to avoid if you can avoid. And if you can't avoid it and you have to be there because of circumstances, then you still make yourself a less inviting target. Um,
Dr. Mackay, when you say places to avoid, can you be more specific if you wish to?
There are places that crimes take place more often. There are high traffic zones. There are inner city communities. There are they're known spots frequented by persons. Um, gang hangouts and so on. It's all about putting yourself into an environment where criminal conduct is likely to take place, whether against you or something you could participate in. So you find that, well, just making quick reference to the study I had done some years ago, the not called the homicide the homicide victim analysis of homicide victims in Portmore in 2015 to 18. We found that if you involve yourself in criminal activity, you're 168 times more likely to become a victim of a homicide. So by your own conduct is what was largely determining if you were to end up being killed yourself. And that's just an example
But
of your own
Dr.
behavior.
Mackay, a quick one, sir. In terms of where to avoid, it would appear as if nowadays crime is literally everywhere. It may not
Right.
occur in certain places as much as others, but it would appear as if it is very difficult to predict if you will be a victim of a crime or a target, regardless of where you are, whether you're in so-called uptown or so-called downtown or somewhere in the middle. Dr.
No,
Mackay?
trust me, the possibility of it happening in certain places versus others is significantly more. So yes, you could end up being harmed in the middle of Vale Royal. Anything can happen. But I can tell you have a much larger chance of it happening in the middle of parade, and then if you're going to go in lanes and so on that surround parade. So yeah,
Dr.
it's all
Mackay,
about where you are.
Dr. Mackay, I will jump in right there. I'm so happy you said that because there was a particular time of my life when I used to frequent parade routinely to go home, routinely every single solitary day. And I have never, ever been robbed. As a matter of fact, I felt very safe in parade. Any comments, Dr. Mackay? You mentioned location.
Right. Well, I mean, parade is one of the most highly traveled locations in Jamaica. Not everybody who goes there is robbed, and time has changed from when you maybe used to frequent it. But as I said, in parade or the lanes that surround parade. So let's just say that you decide that you're going to go Mark Lane or you're going to go places that are not that don't have the type of crowd but are still in that vicinity, and you're in a lonely environment, then it is more likely that you're going to be robbed than you would be in the center of parade. But as I said, it's an example. There is always going to be a higher probability of something happening to you, depending on where you place yourself. Although
Interesting, Dr. Mackay. Interesting,
anywhere,
Dr. Mackay. Only because of time, Dr. Mackay, and we are approaching the break. Never enough time on the morning watch. I want to bring in Mr. Ellison. Mr. Ellison, any thoughts or comments in relation to the question that I had posed? What are the tried and true security measures we need to know now, not tomorrow, right now, sir, right now?
All right, thank you for that. I think I keep it very brief on that, because what we find is many times we're caught up in what we have to do and not necessarily how we're going to do it. So we may want to go shopping and you draw a whole lot of money to travel with when you probably only need half the amount. So what we want to encourage people to do this season is to firstly travel with what you need. And this may be a sad thing to say, but travel with what you can lose. Sometimes you check somebody's wallet or somebody's purse. They have things that they are not using them. Some persons travel with their passport. Some persons travel with a whole lot of things where if lost, and not only that, it takes a lot more time to rummage through a full handbag as opposed to a handbag with bare minimum and things you need. The tried and true things, you really have to be aware of your surroundings. That's key. We cannot be so caught up and walking and texting, walking and not being alert of our surroundings. Because that's one of the things that robbers look at. They look at how distracted you are and how far removed you are from your environment. They look for an easy opportunity, an easy target. And the robbers are not random as you may think. They could be following you. They know where you work. They know the times that you're working late. So it's really the number one thing that you can do is your situational awareness and walking in pairs. That has hardly failed. Robbers take
Interesting
out
you
easy
said that,
targets.
Gordon Ellison. Very interesting you said walking in pairs. I remember, well, on this particular occasion, someone did not pick my pocket because the person who was standing next to me warned me that someone next to me was trying to do something. And they warned me in a way so as not to alert that person, but in alerting me and my action next to move away somewhat, I did not lose my valuables. Very interesting. Continue, Gordon Ellison.
And the whole matter of privacy too. Sometimes we're going places and no one knows that we're going there. And even where you drive and where you park, you may not want to. Sometimes you just have to bypass an opportunity. You find that your car is the last car to be parked in a lane. It's best to avoid that. And I'll also encourage business here that when you're having an event, it's good to invest in security to protect your patrons. Many times parking lots are not being monitored
You
because
mean
the
you
promoters.
mean enough security to do patrolling of the parking lot?
Correct.
Because if the
Correct.
security officer is assigning themselves or is assigned to one section of the parking lot, such as the entrance, and it's a large
Correct.
parking lot, one doesn't know what's happening elsewhere, especially beyond us, behind a so-called blind spot, maybe behind a tree where there's a car park. So help us there, because many times you can park somewhere where there is security, yes, but the robbery takes place nonetheless. Gordon Ellison.
And that's true. We're not living in an ideal world. We're living where crime really thrives off how it's a psychological thing where you if the criminals know that the area is likely that they'll be seen breaking into a car, they won't. So proper analysis have to be done by, and we're talking from the business communities. You need to do a proper assessment to say, do we need 10 securities or three? And
Gordon Ellison,
oftentimes,
hold that point, because I gather we are now upon a break. Listeners, please stay with
sure.
us. We'll be right back on the morning watch.
Get better coverage for yourself and your family as low as $800 a month. The time by JN Life Vest from JN Life Insurance is...
It is now 7:15 a.m.
Get registered for City and Guilds Math and English this year. Our qualifications are for everyone. Register now for exams in June 2023 and gain worldwide employment opportunities. We're endorsed in Jamaica by the Ministry of Education and Youth, JDF, JCF, UCJ, and the Heart Trust NSTA. Or Stage 3 Math and English are accepted in over 21 local universities and colleges. Call the City and Guilds Caribbean Rep office at 924-7808 or 7804. Email us at jamaica@cityandguilds.com to register now. Registration closes January 2023. City and Guilds, believe you can.
You work hard to make Jamaica a first-class destination. Isn't it time you receive the 5-star benefit? Retire smarter with the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme, a portable plan that also provides your family with financial security in case of your untimely death. It's easy, affordable, and accessible online. Retire and relax with the Tourism Workers Pension Scheme. Visit twps.myguardiangroup.com or call 876-927-4105. Guardian Life. Live secure. Live easy.
Christmas a come go down a Bashko. 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 We go down to Bashko. We light up Christmas tree. Give smart up family. Pop some pants feeding up on Christmas Day. So for your decorations go down a Bashko. Matching sheet and curtains go down a Bashko. Something for everyone go down a Bashko. Christmas a come go down a Bashko.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are speaking to Dr. Jason Mackay and Gordon Ellison. Dr. Jason Mackay is a criminologist and the Chief Executive Officer of Mackay Security. Gordon Ellison, he is Director of Security and Transport at the Ministry of Health and Wellness and international security consultant and leadership coach. He's also the director of TGE Consulting Limited. Gordon Ellison, before the break, you're making some very important points in terms of security at this time in particular where we're approaching what some call the silly season. Gordon Ellison, please continue. I want to go back to Dr. Mackay, but finish your point, Gordon Ellison.
All right, thank you. The point I was making is I am of the view, and many events that I've seen, that security is probably considered as a cost. So you try to minimize security to make profit, but then the more you invest to make your patrons feel safer, the more patrons will come out. And so the more you basically make back that money. So I'm encouraging.
Gordon Ellison, can I tell you something, sir? I have been to certain places, and if I drive there and I get the sense that the security is not adequate, I actually drive away. Especially if you're left to park on the road where they allow the security to park on that particular road. If I don't see enough security patrolling outside the premises, I'm leaving. Because I have no guarantee that I won't come back and find my car glass smashed in because someone was trying to get into the vehicle. You made a very interesting point, Gordon Ellison. So you're saying it's an investment.
It's an investment. And I've always been saying that. You know,
Yes.
the safer you are, the safer your place is, the safer your business is, the safer people feel, the more they will spend. And that's just basic psychology when it comes on to safety and security.
Well, hold that as well, Gordon Ellison. Going to come back to that if we can. Dr. Mackay, sir, what are some of the new ways that some of the persons with bad intentions are using to relieve us of our valuables? Some of these might be digital means. Dr. Mackay?
Well, the electronic era is upon us. You know what happened with scamming. Your account can be cleaned out right in front of you without anybody laying a hand on you. This usually happens because they've captured your data. So, less people are walking with cash than used to, sensibly so, because most places are taking cards. Although a lot of people are still walking with money, because there are a lot of businesses on Princess Street and so on that still don't take cards. But you have to be careful when you tender the card. They're not going to copy it. So you have to have eyes on the card. The waiter in a restaurant.
Dr. Mackay, I want to ask you this thing about the tapping of the card. I'm not saying that people are trying to scam anyone or rob anyone this way, but sometimes the cashier or the person who's, taking the payment from the card will say, the item costs $5,000. Can I tap it? And you're not really seeing, for the most part, what is on the screen of the device before it is tapped. Any advice there, sir?
Well, the tap isn't the biggest danger, really, because the tap is usually done right in front of you. It's when you see them put the card through a machine that is really where they're cloning it.
I see.
The tap is a bit difficult to clone from there, although I imagine technology could pull off anything. Typically, though, it's when it goes through another instrument or into another instrument that it's being cloned, there are ways, of course, where the actual machine is working at the business establishment doing this, and the business establishment doesn't know. But sometimes, usually though, it's a secondary device to the actual formal device provided by the business operator.
Interesting.
So that's what you have to look for. If the card is leaving you at all, or going out of your sight, going anywhere near an instrument before it goes into the actual machine.
Dr. Mackay, I want to ask you this. This is not strictly digital. This is maybe more electronic. The person, suppose a person, approaches you and says, well, take us to the ATM machine and take out all the money and give it to us. Do you find that happens sometimes, or that is not something you're picking up on your radar, sir?
No, there was something happening a year before last where people were actually being abducted and carried to the machine. And it has been known to happen in a lot of robberies that persons do go to the machine and empty the car and are forced to provide information that allows them to empty the bank account. This can happen to anybody, but there are limitations on how much you can draw in one pull. So that in itself is a great protection, because if you're limited to a 50,000 pull within a 12-hour period, they would have to keep you that much longer to get a second 50,000 or a third 50,000. That isn't usually their plan, So that limitation helps a lot.
Very interesting. Any comments, Gordon Ellison, on some of the points just raised or indicated by Dr. Mackay? Gordon Ellison?
Yes, I ditto the sentiments. Another thing that I'd love to see happen here, and this has been happening in the UK and other places a very long time ago, nobody touches your debit card. So the machine is in front of you, and there's a secondary card. There's a primary card that is used to input the information, and there's a machine in front of you that you insert your card in. Most places now you give them the card, and even though it happens in front of you, there are persons, and I know of cases where they have their camera recording below. So a little 2 seconds below the table, without touching a phone, it's already preset. So your card goes below the table for a second, and the camera basically that's running captures your information. And there are many websites out there that can register your card for spending without asking you to verify an amount. And the persons can take your card, use it online without you knowing, if you don't have that two-step verification with the bank, and if you do not have that text message alert or email alert for your transactions. So what I'm encouraging everyone to do is get to the bank and ask to have your telephone number or email linked to your transactions. Some banks can allow you to do that through an app, and you're notified of each dollar that is spent from your account. Because the only way to limit cybercrime is to be more cyber aware. And the only way to reduce being victims of cybercrime is to spend more time using internet banking and using these notifications and less traditional means of banking.
Very interesting. So when you say less traditional means of banking, that sounds like quite a lot packed in one little sentence. What exactly do you mean by less traditional means of banking?
All right, so we do have persons who, one, they're afraid of the ATM, and even though the bank has now instituted charges for over the counter, we still have persons who, I'm not sure why, but still love to go into the bank for all transactions. And we still have persons who think that if you're not I think this is maybe those who are more averse to technology and think that technology is more harm than good. And I'm sure you couldn't count people as well that that they enjoy going to the bank as opposed to paying their bills online. And that's another thing. Paying your bills online is the way to go. There are less lines at cash intensive places, and whether you want to pay them online at these institutions or through the bank, this is also another means of encouraging people, because a lot of money is spent in the Yuletide season, and robbers sit and plan for these things. They're hoping for people to be careless and hoping for us to be very vulnerable and less situationally aware once we go out.
The whole matter of what you indicated were more traditional means of banking is probably another whole discussion in and of itself, because I have had the experience where the digital approach may not work and I have to go into the bank to the counter. So that's a whole nother discussion entirely. And maybe we shouldn't necessarily call them traditional means of banking, but just another way of banking, because sometimes you do need to go into the bank. But alas, we move on. And who are some of the bigger targets for these types of crimes, Dr. Mackay, before we wrap? And what can we do to avoid all of this? Dr. Mackay, who are some of the bigger targets for this type of crime, where you're targeting persons in terms of using more is it more modern means or newer means of of robbing them, Dr. Mackay?
Are you referring to digital theft?
Yes, sir, indeed.
Well, they have persons who keep large volumes of money in accounts that have that internet, the internet capabilities.
And Dr. Mackay, I know I'm jumping in here. Does it mean that persons in the institutions are providing information to other persons outside the institution about what people have in their account, sir?
I don't know if persons in the institution are providing that data, but the data is something that is available. There's a market for the data, so to speak. So
we are now coming to find out that sometimes persons in various call centers provide services to the institutions, or call centers rather provide services to the institutions, and some of the employees of these call centers, it is understood, can end up having information that they would not have had they not been employed to the call center. Dr. Mackay?
I mean, it's possible. I mean, that there are persons who, I know that call center employees have been targeted by scammers before.
Yes.
In the past, when lead sheets were a thing. I can't say specifically how they are getting the information on person's bank account. But I know there's a big market for it. If they can get someone, if they can get the information on the bank account and it is internet capable and it carries a large funds in it, then that is one of the big green lights for them to attempt to scam on that particular account.
Dr. Mackay, I gather that we have to probably leave it here for today, but in a one word, what should we do?
Well, don't keep large volumes of cash in regular savings accounts that are also internet capable that you are using for day-to-day transfers.
Interesting.
Keep the bulk of your money in a secondary account.
Interesting. And Gordon Ellison, in a second or two, what should we be doing?
Second in what Mr. Mackay say, and really in everything that we do, we just have to be careful that you can't use a card everywhere. And some machines are rigged, and by rigged I mean they're tampered with.
Okay, I see. We have to leave it there today. Thank you, gentlemen, for the words of advice.
Thanks
Listeners,
for having us, Gordon. Nice to
definitely.
hear from you again.
Listeners, take note. Take note. The Morning Watch will be back after this break.
Talk to Jane Bank today to find out about achieving your own sweet home in 30 days. The time by Jane Bank Mortgage is...
It is now 7:30 a.m.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on Jane Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. JN Bank will help you find a way.
Planning to sit the May-June CXC exams privately? Register with Overseas Examinations Commission before the registration deadline, Friday, November 25. Visit our Kingston office or Montego Bay office to complete your application form or send an email to help@overseasexams.org.jm. Follow our social media pages at Overseas Exams for more details. Remember, if you plan to sit the May-June CXC exams privately, the registration deadline is November 25.
Prepare for the future with over 3 million in cash and prizes with Tang. From May 9th to July 30th, a chance to win monthly prizes of laptops, tablets, smart savings accounts, school supplies voucher. Grand draw on August 17th. First place $1 million. Second place $500,000. Third place $250,000. Buy any 6-pack of Tang for a chance to win. Upload receipts to tangpromotion.com. Drop in supermarkets or mail PO Box 2010 CSO.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Let's take a look now at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. We turn to the Gleaner. No truth to NWC strike rumors, utility company says. We also have in the Gleaner, JBDC launching survey to measure size and value of creative industries. We turn to the Observer. We have Trump launches 2024 White House bid. Also in the Observer, Biden calls emergency meeting after missile hits Poland. Very interesting items of news in both major daily newspapers. And of course, coming up next, we'll read for some of the feedback from our Facebook and WhatsApp question, which is, what are your thoughts on the subject of racism in Jamaica? If you haven't done so yet, leave a comment on our Facebook or YouTube. Love 101 FM Jamaica Live, and also WhatsApp comments and voice notes too. 876-9973-125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll be right back.
In the Lord we trust. Serve him is a must. He's the Alpha,
This week inside the program designed for men, hosted by men with guests who are men. In recognition of National Parent Month, we are turning our focus on raising the next generation of fathers for Jamaica 60 and beyond. What truths should millennials know about fatherhood? Has fatherhood changed over the years? What makes millennial dads different, and how can their parenting style affect the next generation? We are in a quest to find some answers, so be sure to tune in to the Mailbox this Wednesday, November 16 at 5:30 p.m. The Mailbox is sponsored by Rich Company Limited, your electrical, solar, and lighting people. The Mailbox happens every Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. right here on Love 101, the family station.
Set the people free, in castle on him knee. I hope you agree. Which part Abraham, that man appeared, that man
I've got love in my heart and I'm feeling blessed.
Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside Alive, 1 to 5, November 16, packed with worship, fun, and inspiration. Stick around for prayer blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. So 15, we feature Byron Cage as our worship artist of the day. And then at 3 p.m. inside the Alive Bible Challenge, ABC, we bring you another intense matchup. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, November 16, with yours truly, Sarah M., the Chirpy One, on the family station, Love 101.
Give him praise, give him praise.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. Well, let us see what are the comments on social media to that question. What are your thoughts on the subject of racism in Jamaica? What comments do we have, sir? No comments?
We have one remark so far, one response coming from Edna from Montego Bay. We're going to go ahead and play that response now on WhatsApp.
Good morning, Stokey. Good morning, Love 101 listeners. Good morning for your guest. Racism shouldn't be neither here nor there. It's not right. It's not of God. So it's from the enemy, the devil. If you're a child of God, you will never be racism. So racism is of the devil. And I'm totally against it. I pray day and night to protect, for God to protect my family against racism, classism, and atheism.
Yes, so far, Stokely, that is our solitary response from our social media question. I'm sure certain persons might try to respond in a few minutes.
Well, Edna's comments are very interesting. She ended up by saying not only racism, but she went on to say classism. And I think she was adding hateism. Is that what she also said, Victor?
I believe that's what she said, sir.
Yes, classism and hateism. Very interesting that she said that, because oftentimes people say we don't have any racism in Jamaica. What we have is classism. And it is sometimes being said that all we have is classism, as if to say classism is a good thing. I always find that comment very interesting. But we go right into the second watch. Never enough time on the morning watch, so we get right into it. Now, as a country with the motto, out of many one people, derogatory comments about race have been made by various persons, and derogatory, controversial, however you want to put it. More recently, Minister Everald Warmington got himself into quite a bit of a controversy. And this was about November the 6th, 2022. And there has been a lot of reaction to the comments he made in relation to skin color and, place of origin. So the debate continues. Now, are we really a country that does not look at race? Or is it that we are very clever at masking it or otherwise tolerating it? or are we in some kind of a denial? Well, we have as our guest today Stephen Golding, president of the UNIA Jamaica, and we are also supposed to have Reverend Dr. Dave Goss, head of the Institute of Cultural Studies at the University of the West Indies. Not sure we have Dr. Goss as yet, but I do think we have Stephen Golding. Good morning, Stephen Golding. How are you?
Morning, Stokeley. Can you hear me?
Morning. Yes, sir. As the head of the Universal Negro Improvement Association for Jamaica, tell us, sir, first of all, this matter of race. Is there racism in Jamaica, or are we just clever at masking it or tolerating it, or are we in denial, Stephen Golding?
I don't know how clever we can be at masking it when we are a country over 90% of African descent, yet the 7 or 8% minority or white Jamaicans control 85% of our wealth. That is not masking the fact that there are some racial imbalances in your country. Given the fact that we come out of
Stephen Golding,
yeah.
not that I don't trust your figures, but can you, if you can, or if you will, just point us to the source of that 85% figure you quoted there?
The source is my observation over years. So
okay.
The statisticians that want to go and check it out, or if they want to give a call to the PIOJ. I don't know that those studies have been done and released. But
Yeah.
I mean, you line up the major companies, you look at their earnings, and you look at the ownership, right? I'm sure my numbers are not far off. It is the minority in Jamaica that controls the majority of the wealth. You
Yeah.
go into the private sector organization of Jamaica and look at those pictures on the wall and tell me how many of them are Black Jamaicans. You'll find 1 or 2. I've seen that myself, right? Now,
and to be specific, Stephen Golding, for those who want to maybe be, say, well, they're not all white, but if they are not white, you would be agreeing that they might be a lighter shade. They're not necessarily white sometimes, but lighter skinned. Yes, Mr. Golding?
The majority of them are white Jamaicans or descendant from white Jamaicans. You know what?
Okay.
If you want me to call names, the Stewarts, they're white Jamaicans. McConnell's, white Jamaicans. Faces, white Jamaicans. Matalon's, white Jamaicans. Issa's, white Jamaicans. Come on, we know them. We've all talked about it in Jamaica, the so-called 21 families. I'm sure you've heard of that, Stokeley. But I wanted to finish making the point of the fact that we come out of a country with a history of colonialism, a history of enslavement that went into emancipation and then went into independence without any reparations. The fact that we even had periods in our country like the 60s and 70s where you had to pass a paper bag test in order to get certain jobs. Right, and when I say paper bag test, it means if you were darker than the paper bag, you were not allowed to work certain jobs like being a bank teller or sort of front office hostess or so forth. I mean, Jamaicans must know their history. What I'm talking about is facts. The elders talk about these periods. You can look back at some of the newspaper archives to see some of the advertisements, some of the comments. Jamaica has had various movements in terms of civil rights over the years. There was a colored persons movement. So there was a movement for the black and white descendants who were seeking to separate themselves from the black masses. That happened at one time, led by people like Osborne and others. And then you had the period of people like Marcus Garvey, who began enacting for the civil rights of the majority of people who were of African descent.
Stephen Golding, I know I'm breaking into what you're saying, but we're coming up on a break. Can we
No problem.
Can we define racism? And
Can we define racism?
Yes. Can we define it? Yes.
Why we need to define it? It's already been defined. We can look it up in a dictionary.
Hold that thought. Dr. Gus, you're with us now?
Yes, morning.
Oh, Dr. Gus, help us, sir. Oh, yes. We are upon a break already, Dr. Gus. So sorry we couldn't hear you before. I wasn't hearing you before. Listeners, please stay with us. We'll be right back on the Morning Watch.
Sweet, the new pack Sweet Living promotion. Win great prizes.
Bedroom set, living room set, kitchen appliance set, plus TVs and monthly cash prizes.
Send in 5 new pack labels. Labels must belong to at least the new pack corned beef, new pack Vienna sausages, and sauces categories.
Below the tagline, new pack, more than just value.
Place your entry in one of the drop boxes at participating outlets or enter by mail.
Time to live sweet.
Enter the new pack Sweet Living promotion. August 28th to November 19th. See the press for more details. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
They're full of life. You're full of love. They're carefree. You care more. That's why we created Child Protector, a critical illness insurance plan from Sagicor Life. It provides coverage for your child in the event of 15 critical illnesses, hospitalization benefits, life insurance, and investment benefits. So make sure your child can live life to the fullest. Apply for Sagicor Child Protector today.
Come here, Lizzie. We have to leave now, but I'm so glad I can carry my Love 101 FM with me anywhere me go.
How you do that?
What do you mean? I have the Love 101 FM app on my phone, so no matter wherever support me go, I just click on the app and props. My Love 101 is right here with me on my iPhone.
But after me not have iPhone, so how me I go here?
Simply go to your Play Store on your Android phone. Search for Love 101 FM. The red app with the Love 101 logo will show up and you just download it. Even my friend in New York did a listen love the other day. Clear in New York, my dear. And you know how him did a listen?
Let me guess.
Pan the Love 101 FM app.
All right then, all right. Me I go download it so I can have love with me to anywhere me go. Have you downloaded the Love 101 FM app? Take Love 101 FM with you anywhere and listen anytime via the Love 101 app. Available in your Play Store for Android phones and on your iPhone in the App Store. Love 101 FM. We are here, there, and everywhere. The family station.
Love 101. The family station.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Stokeley Marshall. We are in the second watch and we are speaking to Reverend Dr. Dave Goss, Head, Institute of Cultural Studies, University of West Indies, and Stephen Golding, President, Universal Negro Improvement Association of Jamaica. Reverend Dr. Dave Goss, just before the break, we were about to have you comment, but unfortunately we had to go to the break right away, and we do apologize to you for not being able to acknowledge you until sometime later on in the program, because I really wasn't hearing you on the platform. I wasn't hearing on the platform at all, sir, so we apologize for that. For the purpose of this discussion, Reverend Dr. Dave Goss, define racism and also comment on maybe what is a little bit more of a nuanced issue, or not issue, but thing here in Jamaica, where a lot of the persons who control the means of production, they may not all be of European extraction. Some are, most definitely, but they might be lighter skinned, but originating from other parts of the world, such as the Middle East, etc. But first, define for us racism.
Yeah, that's a question for me. I'm Stokeley. I'm not.
Yes, Reverend Dr. Goss. Yes, Reverend Dr. Goss.
Yes, no, racism are very it's not easily defined based on phenotype features, right? It's much more.
We're having a slight challenge hearing you, Reverend Dr. Gus. Can you speak more directly into your device?
Yeah. Yes, I'm saying yes, that it is not as easily defined based on your phenotype, black features or white features. It's about identity, right? So we could say we have a 90% black population in Jamaica, and which is about true, right? But the bigger question really is, what is our racial identity? So you can have black features or white features or mulatto features, but it's what you identify with, right? So it's not as simple about your complexion. It's about your identification. So
I see.
because we were colonized, and many people don't understand that colonialism has like three basic facets: political, economic, and social. So you can get rid of the political, system, but the colonial economy, the colonialists still control our social values, which values whiteness over blackness,
Yes.
right? So we could have a 90% black majority in the country, right? The reality is what we identify with, and some of those things that are deep in our subconscious.
Yes.
So we have never had a time in Jamaica where we have really discussed the issue of race and its impact on our own social development and our own social thinking, right? So whiteness is still here with us, and it comes in many different ways. Buju Banton sang some years ago, we love the browning. So what we have done now, we have come with a kind of creolized version of whiteness. So it's about the brown people, brownness. So concept of beauty, for example, that's when you know how whiteness affects us as a country, because our idea what beauty is. Then you talk about bleaching. So whiteness has not gone anywhere, right? It is still in our DNA, deep in our subconscious, because we were colonized people socially, and many of us have not dealt with the social ramifications of colonialism.
Now, Dr. Gus, we know that during the times when most Black Jamaicans were enslaved, that the oppressors, the plantocracy, were from England. Yes? Well, that's what the history books tell us.
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Yeah. Now we have a situation here in Jamaica of 2022 where we may not be seeing all the descendants from the British plantocracy, but we see persons who are of a lighter hue to most Jamaicans, but their family history takes them back to maybe somewhere in the Middle East or somewhere else in the world. Any comments on that? Because we tend to call people white when they may not necessarily be of Caucasian extraction or not solely of Caucasian extraction. Any comments in terms of this discussion, Reverend Dr. Gus?
Yeah, but I go back to the idea again that it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It matters. Your complexion and color and race matters. But what matters more is your racial identity. And
I see.
We are colonized people, right?
Okay.
We are colonized people.
Yes.
There is still that preference for white people and whiteness and white values.
The preference.
So
understood.
Not as simple as we might say we're not a racist country, but deep down in our subconscious, we love white people, we love white.
And we have other groups as well, sir. The Chinese and Indians. Yeah. Any comments on those groups?
And then, but what is hurtful now then is that we have a motto that says out of many one people, which is really a lie. Because you can have a country with 90% black people.
Reverend Dr. Gus, you said that motto is a lie.
Yeah, it's a lie. I mean, and I say it's a lie in the sense that as independence, so you're trying to find something that would unite a country, right? But what they did by having that motto, what you did now, you derided the large black majority of people in this country. The motto should have had something about serving blackness, embracing others, because we are a black population coming out of slavery and colonialism. How can you not have a motto that identifies with black people and black consciousness? So what we did from the very beginning, we allowed the 10% minority to have swing by pumping a much about other many one people.
Reverend Dr. Goss, those words out of many one people are on the coat of arms. And of course, there are images of the Tainos on the coat of arms, but no one of African descent. Any comments on that, sir?
That's the point I'm making. That symbols are important. Where's the black man? Where is this a black country?
No,
right?
So there's no black man on the coat of arms, and that is part of the problem you're saying, sir?
Yes, because symbols do matter. Because from the very time we were became independent, we were telling people that, oh yes, don't have many one. When color mattered because people were colonized, enslaved and colonized. And anybody who is enslaved and colonized needs some serious psychological work with our values and our attitude and our belief about ourselves.
So our coat of arms here. Hold that thought. I want to read a little.
You both know our coat of arms motto was taken from the Americans, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
E pluribus annum, out of many one people. So, you know, and even the use of the Tainos in our coat of arms is similar to some of the United States coat of arms, which you know, are older than the Federation of the United States. So, you know, I think there were certain schedules that were used at that time that we ended up just adapting and rearranging, but not changing in essence. I mean, even our flag is the Scottish flags with the colors rearranged.
Very interesting. Well, let's take a little bit of an article in Loop News, Jamaica, published November 13th, 2022. This is in relation to comments of Member of Parliament, Mr. Warmington. And here are some of the words that he used. Where Mark Golding mother and father come from? If he wants to be Prime Minister, go back to England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland, but him now beat Andrew Michael wholeness, unquote. And Warmington told party supporters at a JLP constituency meeting in St. Catherine. Now, interestingly, we have had a Prime Minister in the past, Edward Seaga, who is Jamaican, of course, and clearly not a black man, but Prime Minister, and many people loved him.
And Stokeley, you will recall that during his campaign to become Prime Minister of Jamaica, the opposition, or the government at the time, because he was coming from the opposition, used a campaign slogan, say, "My leader Banya."
Yes.
I don't know how heavily the social acts came down on them in terms of you know, discriminating. But you know, we have to take what Warmington says also in the context of the political platform, and we know what the culture of the political platform is. I just find it curious that, you know, we are, you know, many of our social media outlets and media outfits are sort of raising this and being up in arms about it, when we still have a culture where we discriminate first and foremostly against ourselves. We're still the people who said to each other, "You're black like." We're still the people who are bleaching. It is sewn into the fabric of our culture, as Malcolm X put it, who taught us to hate ourselves from the top of our heads to the soles of our feet, right? That is still ingrained in our culture, and we don't seem so quick to want to eradicate that. But the minute we mash the white man can, it is black people ready to in Jamaica in particular to be up in arms about it. This shows that we suffer from white supremacy.
Gentlemen, what are the teachable moments from this incident? Because I gather we have seconds left. Starting with you, Stephen Golding, and then Dr. Goss. Stephen Golding.
The teachable moments from Warmington's faux pas on the political platform?
Yes, sir.
I think the greatest lesson we can learn in this is that that particular MP has a way with words that we've known for many years. In fact, I'm sure the media style him a certain way in terms of when they approach him or They're just ready to gobble up something he's saying because it's going to be so far left field or right field. Secondly, that we are a little bit more sensitive about the issues affecting the minority in this country than we are the issues affecting the majority. And this is a symptom of white supremacy. As Dr. Goss said earlier, it's not a matter of the quantity of melanin in your DNA, but more akin to identity and our mental enslavement, as Marcus Garvey put it, which we still need to emancipate ourselves from.
We're almost out of time. Dr. Goss, a second or two. 1 second. Only 1 second, Dr. Goss.
Yes. I think that's politically silly because you could open up a Pandora's box, which they might the JLP might regret a little later on, because Mark Golding, for example, if I was the PNP, I would have said Mark Golding as a caring white man, right? So they better be careful of that comment and because it can come back and harm the JLP.
Gentlemen,
right?
we have to leave.
Looking out for. Yeah.
Very interesting, Dr. Goss, and thank you both, gentlemen, Mr. Golding and Dr. Goss. Thank you for your comments. We're totally out of time. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. And of course, download our Love 101 app and stay connected to us, the #1 gospel station in Jamaica. And of course, visit us on YouTube and Facebook. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to Kathy Gale, our producer, and to our guests. I am Stokeley Marshall, handing it back to Love in the Morning with Victor.
I lost my husband to gun